the microcosm issue is this specific thing, this invention, if you want to call it that, of people who are like beta readers or advanced copy readers, but their specific goal is to read your book and then tell you all the things in it that are going to offend people. And from my point of view, that seems a little bit too much like censorship. And I kind of feel like, you know, don't get me wrong, I lean in the liberal direction in almost all aspects of my life, but I feel like the paranoia over, you know, should I even open my mouth? Should I even write this story that I need to tell? Because I'm afraid someone's feelings are going to get hurt, or it's going to trigger an emotion or something like that. And it seems like books have been written for a very long time without worrying about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, can you imagine someone coming to Hemingway and saying, I'm going to be your sensitivity reader? He'd have punched him in the mouth, you know?
Yeah, and they're doing it now to his work, so, but he's not here to defend himself is the problem.
Right.
So,
right.
But no, I completely agree with you. You know, my politics are pretty mixed. Like, I have positions on the left, I have positions more on the right, I have a lot in the middle. So I feel very partyless most of the time, which makes elections kind of, well, not all elections are are difficult. Sometimes you know for sure. But you know, a lot of times elections are difficult for me because I can see both sides of a lot of different issues, you know. So, but on this particular, as far as I'm concerned, this issue is also partyless. Because I don't really understand what I kind of see, and I don't want to get, you know, conspiratorial, but it's almost like an assault on free speech, you know, like, and we definitely, you know, there's something to be said about, you know, getting better about respecting other groups, particularly like historically marginalized groups.
Absolutely.
We want to be sensitive, just in general. I don't think it's a bad thing to be nicer to people anymore, but that's not the point, really. I mean, the point in a free society is that you have the freedom to speak your mind, whether that is in, you know, verbally or in writing, because we're talking about mostly about writing, because that's what we are, and that's really what we're talking about. And the beauty of free speech, when it's been practiced throughout history, is that it does have a way of weeding out stupid people. And, you know, they say stupid things and they suffer the consequences. And the good thing about that, generally speaking, and the good thing about that is that having brought that to the public eye, even through the actions of an idiot, allows us to talk about the issue. And that's what really bothers me. It's not that I want people to say hateful things, but if you prevent all hateful things, or things that are viewed as our current society to be hateful, which is another point I want to make later, you prevent the conversation from taking place. And absolutely.
And
that's a problem.
It is, because there's probably thoughts and ideas that are waiting to be formed that are going to happen during the dialogue that won't happen if everybody's just sitting around being nice. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If everybody's worried completely that everything or anything that they say could potentially be offensive, and, you know, like you said, there's a need for sensitivity, and I'm all for it, but there are times when you're going to talk about or write about things that someone is going to find offensive. I guess I'll go ahead and tell the specific story as it applied to my book, The Count of Carolina. I had a reviewer who very much enjoyed the first book, The Beauty of Bucharest, but was unable to finish the second book because there was a character in it who suffered abuse at the hands of friends of her father or acquaintances of her father, and at a young age, starting at age 10. I did not write this because it's something I think is cool. I didn't write it because I wanted to, tell a story that would appeal to pedophiles. I wrote it because this is what happened to this character to make her what she became. It was crucial to the story. And I think I talked in the first interview a little bit about how difficult it was for me to write it, because I knew as I was writing it, holy cow, this is a horrible thing to have gone through.
Right.
But it made the character that it happened to who she became. The character that it happened to is Nicole Porter, who is the central figure in all of the stories. So to me, it was important early in the series for everyone to get a picture of what formed Nicole's mindset and allowed her to become an assassin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And to respond to that, I have a couple points. One is that if you don't talk about really sensitive, horrible things that actually do happen, in a way, you almost invalidate the experience of people who have had that. Mm-hmm. Now, some people who have had that just don't want to hear about it. I mean, that's a trigger for them, and they just don't want to deal with it. And I understand that, and I want to respect that. But there are other people, for example, people who have experienced some sort of sexual abuse. Sometimes hearing about those things that have happened to other people makes them feel, and to some extent, speaking with a little bit of experience, not as drastic as many, but it makes you understand that you're not alone. Mm-hmm. Like this is, it's not normal, but there's nothing wrong with you. You know what I mean? It's on the person who did it. It's on the perpetrators. It's not on you. So there's that danger. The other thing is that by forcing conversations underground, you don't actually stop them from happening. You just keep them out of the public eye.
Right.
And the danger behind that is that it breeds resentment from the people who feel they no longer have a voice. And I think we saw that played out in large part in the last election, last presidential election. And also, by driving underground, you create a brand of extremism. Because when you take away the voice from a certain group of people, even groups that we may consider odious, you make them resentful, and that creates a brand of extremism, and it increases their ability to recruit. In some cases, increases their appeal to other groups that may normally have been more moderate, but because they're faced with this culture of oppression in their eyes, they're going to react to that very strongly. The third thing would be that times change. So one thing that is things that are politically incorrect now may not be down the road. So I try to explain this to people who there are a lot of people who are reacting to the current administration with a good deal of well-placed and certainly well-intentioned disgust. I mean, there are a lot of things going on that I don't really care for, right? And that's just that's the fact of it. But and they want them shut down. They don't want them to speak. They want to kick them out of restaurants. They want to do all this stuff. First of all, I just want to say, we should be the people we would want our opponents to be.
Right.
So that's the first thing. But that's kind of an aside. The other thing, though, is and this is the beauty of the principle of free speech and why it's timeless, is that it can exist regardless of the regime. And my point is that if we were to enforce if we were to silence the people we disagree with now, later on, when the zeitgeist changes, there will be a precedent for that political culture to oppress us.
Right.
And we will have been the ones who made that okay.